Hello there. Welcome back to the Doctor Who Retrospective. I'm Scotty. You're not. Before I get started, I just want to tell you something funny that happened. I was getting ready to record this. I put the recording apparatus up there, sat down, grabbed this, went to push the button, and I was like, oh, I didn't put the camera up there. I put the phone up there. So, no funny. Here we are. Series 3, Episode 10. Blink. Both. Blink. Blink. This is wink. Blink. It's weird when it's up close. It's hard to do that. Blink. Yes. A fan favorite and my personal favorite episode of the show, period. Yes. There is one thing that occurred to me while watching this at one point. But otherwise, it's one little nitpick. And it really has to do with a later episode. But I'll talk about that. So this is what you call a Doctor Light episode. Well, the Doctor is not really in it that much. We follow a different character. It's been done. It'll be done after. I don't know if it's done before this. Was it? I don't remember. I don't think so. And it'll be done afterwards. You have episodes like Turn Left. And that's what I'm going to pass in my head right now. All I can think of. Anything with Matt Smith on Twitter? There was one. I think that follows the Paternoster game, but that's later. The Red Death or something like that. Yeah, that's way later. That's like Series 7. Anyway, so our main character for this episode is Sally Sparrow, played by Carey Mulligan. You may have seen in the movie Promising Young Woman, and in many other things, I'm sure. She plays Sally Sparrow, and she's at this place called Wester Drumlins. This abandoned building where weird things happen. It's not really explained why she was there, she just is, and she's in this particular room where she's scraping her way at the wall, and ends up her name is on it and a warning. And because, opening credits and everything. This episode introduced, I complained in the last one that the Family of Blood could have been more recurring, but this introduced a very big villain to the mythos of Doctor Who, the Weeping Angels. I'm gonna say it like the Toy Man. The Toy Maker. But yeah, the Weeping Angels were created by Stephen Moffat. He wrote this episode. He would bring them back when he was controlling the show, when he was in charge of the show. So, yeah, they're very powerful villains. They don't kill you per se. They grab you, throw you in time, and then feed off your life force energy. The energy of probability energy that you of from what you could the life you could have had, which is weird because the two that we see that happened to, besides the Doctor and Martha, the other two, they end up having a pretty good life, all things considered. Not the life that they were meant to have, mind you, but still. But yeah, after the opening credits, Sally goes to her friend's house, 1 o'clock in the morning, just walks in, she has a key, I guess, and we see that in the front room, there's a bunch of monitors with the Doctor talking to someone. We don't know who. I don't know. And then she calls her friend who is sleeping upstairs in her bed. Instead of going up there, she calls her friend. And she's like, come have some tea. And she's like, I'm not going out at 1 o'clock in the morning. She's like, no, I'm in the kitchen. She's like, oh, you met my brother, right? And this is funny. But if you really think about it, it doesn't make any sense. He comes out and he's like, oh, just a question. And I'm really hoping so, but, pants? She's like, no. You just went to the bathroom. He just came out of the bathroom. Don't you think you would know if you pulled your pants back up? It would make more sense if she walked in the front room and he was there naked. But the question is, why was he naked, just naked, in the front room of your sister's house where your sister is sleeping upstairs? Why would you be naked walking around her house? It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, so the next day she takes her friend to Wester Drumlins with her. And we find out later that it's the site of a bunch of disappearances. I don't think she knew that, but when she talks to Detective Shipton, he tells her about it. But she always says it's a place where weird things happen. But she takes her friend there, and as they're wandering around, there's a knock at the door. Who could that be? It's a strange man who tells her that... and actually, I found a connection with this and another character later. We'll circle around to that. I don't know if it was supposed to be, if it was a hint, because I never heard anyone say anything about this, and I connected it this time. So... So, she's talking to this guy who claims to be the grandson of Sally's friend, Catherine, who was just there with her. So she thinks it's a prank. She's yelling for her. But we find out that she got dropped off in the 1920s. Or I don't remember where, in a place called Lumber something, some place I don't know Britain. And with this strange person is there, just sitting in the middle of nowhere for no reason. I don't know. We find out that they actually got married. That she married the first person she met back then. She had her own family and everything, and so Katie tells her to go talk to her brother and tell her that she's going to be gone and that she loves him. So she does that, and that's where she comes across. We get more explanation. Apparently, there are 17 DVDs that have this Easter egg that is the Doctor making half of a conversation, basically. No one knows where they came from. He says that he called the place that made it, and they don't even know how it happened. I smell bullshit, going from what we find out later, but, whatever, each shoe is up. And he gives her the list. She doesn't look at it, she puts it in her pocket, and as she's leaving, another improbability happens. This is improbable. There's a guy in the front room watching a movie who tells her that Larry's in the back. He's watching a movie and he's yelling at the TV, "Go to the police, you idiot! Why does nobody go to the police?" And that's what gives her the idea to go to the police. However, the audio we hear is just people shooting bullets. I don't know why he would yell that at that point in time. That's the only audio we hear from that TV that he's watching. So she goes to the cops and she reports the stuff about Registered Drumlins. They don't believe her, but they redirect her to a detective named Billy Shipton, who has the hots for her. They have the hots for each other. It's proven. So he takes her to where all the vehicles that were left at Whistler Drumlins are. They have an entire place. Everything in this parking lot area is designated for all the vehicles that have disappeared at Whistler Drumlins, including the TARDIS, which he finds interesting because nobody uses these anymore, and it looks like he uses a regular key, but they can never open it. She has the key somehow. I think she found it there. I think it was hanging on one of the angels or something. And so they flirt, and he's like, "What? You are avoiding the big question here. Will you have a drink with me? Will you have a drink with me? Life is short and you are hot." And she's like, "Really?" So she gives her his number, which will come in handy later. But he's like, "What is your name?" "Sally." "Sally Shipton." "Sparrow." "Sally Sparrow." She stops herself. "Sparrow." "Sally Sparrow." Yeah, she leaves, and then the angels come and take him and drop him back in 1969. And that's where the doctor is there with Martha, and apparently they have been to see the moon landing many times. I don't know how that works, but okay. Also, that contradicts something later. The doctor's not allowed to go into his own timeline. If he's been there with Martha to see... First, that... If he's been there with Martha to see the moon landing, one thing is he couldn't go more than once. That violates that rule. But also, in Series 6, the Doctor... The 11th Doctor, Amy, Rory, and River, who's River? We'll get to that. Go back to the moon landing around that time. So, yeah, is that the same? Is that the moon landing? They have the shuttle, so I think it is. I don't know. You think he would remember he took Martha to the moon landing? I'm just saying. But yeah, and so the doctor tells Billy, you're going to have to give a message to Sally Sparrow, and I'm sorry, but you're going to have to take the long way. So in present time, she gets a phone call from Billy. Yes, good thing she gave him her phone number. Now he's old and in the hospital dying. He says he has till the rain stops and he's going to die. So he basically tells her that he was the one. He got married to a woman named Sally. Sally Shipton. That's her name now. Here's the interesting part. I forgot to mention this. She sent her friend Katie sent her a bunch of pictures. Says that she had a daughter. The youngest, she had children. The youngest daughter of which was named Sally. It is probable that this daughter would be alive in 1969 and meet Billy, and they'd fall in love and have a family and live together, grow old together. So, did he marry her friend's daughter, which is also named Sally? Come on, they did that joke twice in the episode. They did that thing twice in the episode. Oh, I named my child Sally. Or I married a girl, her name is Sally too. Come on, put two and two together. Put two and two together here. Moffat never does anything on accident, so that was not just a running joke. There has to be something in there, and I never heard anyone discuss this. Probably because it's sort of inconsequential to the overall plot. But if you really think about it, come on. Clear my throat. So she looks at the list. She goes to Larry and she says, the list of 17 DVDs are her. They're all the DVDs that she owns, and that's sad. She only owns 17 DVDs. I don't even know how many I owned. DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks. I don't know. I lost track a long time ago. I'm not going to count. There's too many. And so they all are the ones that she owns. This is also working on the bootstrap paradox, because the list was given to her by Larry, and later she will give it to the doctor, which is how he will know which DVDs to put it on. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, we find out later it is the bootstrap paradox, because she does give all the information to the doctor. But here we have that conversation, both sides now, with Sally doing one side and the doctor doing the other side, and information. And then, for some reason, they just end the conversation. She asks, what is she supposed to do? And he's like, conversation cuts off here. I can guess as to why. And I'm like, no, wait, that's not even a full conversation. She asked what she's supposed to do, and that's where it cuts off. That's convenient. But it is fun. It is fun to see Larry kind of Ooh, the angels have the TARDIS. I put that on a shirt. But yeah, because they took the TARDIS, even though they hadn't yet. But they do now because they. I guess. I guess Billy could have told them that. But I think they recorded this after Billy. Also, if this footage is from 1969, shouldn't it be a little more, older looking? It looks pretty pristine to be on a DVD. They would have had to have filmed this in 1969 since Martha hasn't aged. And the doctor wouldn't have aged either. So, I'm guessing the TARDIS goes back to 1969. But here's the ticker. Here's what happens. So, the doctor says you cannot blink. That's where the episode comes from. The whole thing with the weeping angels is that if you're looking at them, they're just statues. But if you look away, they can move. So if you're staring at them and don't blink, which is very hard to do because I'm trying to do it now and I can't. The more you try not to do something, the more you want to do it. Especially with your face compelled to... let me take my glasses off and I'll try not to blink, okay? Ready? Go. I just did it, didn't I? Try it again. Try it again. Come on, Scotty. I can't. It's too hard. It's too hard not to blink. Anyway, yeah, I would die, definitely. Or we thrust to the past. How far in the past? You could tell me to the 90s? I live in the 90s. It'll be weird without internet, but I grew up with it, so it might be okay. There's also an explanation that Billy does say he wanted to see her earlier than that, but he was told if he did, the whole space-time continuum would break down, which is bullshit, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. It's supposed to happen. Yeah, because the other version of himself would still be there, I guess, so. Yeah. And by the way, I can understand with Catherine, her name would change because she would get married. He's still allowed to be Billy Shipton when there's another Billy Shipton existing at the same time. Clearly it didn't exist yet, but I'm just saying. Yeah. So, they eventually, we gotta get out of here. They eventually end up in the basement with the TARDIS. They hop in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS, the hologram of the Doctor pops up and recognizes that one of the DVDs is a disc that guarantees one free ride. This is later referenced by the 12th Doctor in an episode when one of Clara's students wants to go back and he says, there's a bunch of DVDs on the shelf. Put it in the disc slot and it'll take you where you want. However, there's something I want to talk about here. So here, they put it in the slot and it starts to disappear around them. In the other episode, and we'll talk about it when we get there eventually, but he says, make sure you hold on to something or it'll just disappear around you. Well, Larry is clearly holding on to an exhaust pipe and she's holding on to the bottom of the console and it still disappears, but she stops holding on to it and he ends up going. So eventually, but it starts disappearing while Larry's still holding the thing and it, I don't know. Maybe it's just the console, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he has to hold on to the console. Maybe I heard it wrong. I don't know. But this causes all four of the weeping angels to stare at each other. This wouldn't work. And let me tell you why. So the concept is that they're all staring at each other so they'll never move. However, the rule is, if you're staring at a weeping angel, it turns into a statue. So they're all looking at each other, they all turn into statues. Right. But as soon as one turns into a statue, the other one looking at it can then move. You see what I mean? At least, and then that means the other one is no longer staring at one, so he'd be able to move. So the other two, and then the same thing would happen to the other two. At least that's what's in my head. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making shit up. Maybe I'm just full of shit. I don't know. But it's just a thought. And yeah, so some time passes, and Sally is now working at the video store with Larry, and Larry wants to move on to more than just friends, but she hasn't moved on from the whole situation. And then the doctor and Martha get out of a cab as Larry goes to get milk. He leaves to go get milk, and Dr. Martha get out of the cab. She comes running out yelling, "Doctor! Doctor!" And he's like, "Oh, hey," like, just this woman he's never met before knows his name. And he's like, just so matter of fact, "Oh, hey, I'm a little busy right now. I want to see what this adventure. I want to see what happened. Like, why can't the next episode be this adventure? Because we have to prepare for the end of the day. But you could have gotten rid of 42, screwed Chris Chibnall, and done this episode. And at the end, have some woman run up. I'm Sally Sparrow. What's that about? Watch the next episode. I don't know. But she gives him all the... She realizes that she's the one that gives him the information. Again, bootstrap paradox. I guess it's technically one. Now that I think about it. She gave him the information, but the information was written down from the DVDs that came in. Yeah, that is a... So who did it first? Did it come from the DVDs, or did they write it down? Ooh. So they have to leave, but Larry shows up in the end, and then she holds his hand, and they're like, "Nice to meet you, Sally Sparrow." And then they repeat the doctor's warnings at the end, showing all the statues. And those statues will become more dangerous as the show will go on. We would see them again in Series 5. Yeah, not Series 4. There's way other things in Series 4. But guys, this is a fantastic episode. I love it. Yes. It's great. My personal favorite episode, I think it's the best episode of the show, to be honest. There's some good ones, but this is good, And now, so I'm here to announce that this is the last episode I'm doing for today. I'm going to eat supper. I'm going to relax for the rest of the night, and I will continue. We will finish off Series 3 tomorrow. I don't know how far we will go after that. I kind of want to just get Series 4 done as well, but I haven't decided on that yet because, there's 13 episodes. I can knock them out pretty quick. And every time that I say I'm going to come back to it, take a break, the break is always way too long, you know what I'm saying? I know I say I'm doing this in Smallville. I'm not ready to go back to Smallville yet because that's a longer season. These are shorter seasons. I might be able to actually get Series 4. I don't know. But I'd have to also traverse the Voyage of the Damned special, which, other than Balakalafanata Cyborg, I don't really care for. I quote the other Balakalafanata Cyborg. Other than that, I don't know. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this episode? Blink. Let me know how much you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scott, and I'll see you in the next one.